Hi, this is Cheryl St.Pierre of Majestic Wire Artworks. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make this bracelet bar link, which is perfect for stretchy bracelets as well as other uses I'm sure you can find. So I want to also mention that this is a Beebeecraft video. I am using a lot of their supplies in this video, and I will have the links in the description so that you can go and find the product. Okay, so what I'm using is for the bracelet, this Panda Hall Elite crystal stretchy string, and it's 0.8 millimeters wide, which is the same thickness as 20 gauge, and it's super strong and nicely stretchy, and it doesn't have that fibrous stuff that frays, so it's gonna be it's gonna endure longer than some other stretchy cord. I'm very impressed with this. I really like it. And in this roll you get 100 meters or 328 feet, and per bracelet I'm giving myself extra room for tying knots and stuff. You use about a foot per bracelet, so you're going to get over 300 bracelets out of this roll. So it's a great deal, great quality, perfect for what we're doing today. I'm using this package of Bicones, which was out of a different order I got from Beebeecraft, and I just love it because it's got so many colors and it's handy, and I will have the link there if they still have it available, which I'm sure they do. I'm going to include this in the description as well because it's just so great. And then I'm using these bead caps, and I have a special use for them. The reason why they're here, we'll discuss that later when we make the bracelets. And the link for these will be in the description. They are to Beebeecraft Tibetan bead caps. They are ideally good for 10 millimeter, 12 millimeter, and 14 millimeter beads. 8 millimeters a little bit small, but for my purpose, they're perfect for what I'm using them for. And again, you'll see that later. And then I'm using, I use, just to demonstrate, these are Panda Elite. This is Green Adventurine, and it's natural. You can see the different shades of it. It's some darker and lighter. Then you know it's natural. So this is a very natural stone, and I'll have the link to getting these in the description. And I'm using raw copper, which is dead soft 20 gauge, to make the link. And I'm going to show you that I'm making this bracelet is it's got the lava rock that I got in this last package opening, and that way I can make perfume bracelets and aromatherapy bracelets, because the lava soaks up the scent. And then all you need to do is pre-soak your bracelet with the scent that you want, put it on your wrist after it's dry, and that way if you're using aromatherapy for your diet or whatever it is, appetite suppressant, all you have to do is just sniff your bracelet and you're good to go. So what I've done here is I've got the Panda Elite. This is authentic lava rock, so it's got the flaws in it, but it's also smooth that it's not going to scratch you like some other lava rock beads that you can get. So it's perfect for bracelets. And let's see. Oh, so the lava rock is 8 millimeter beads, and I've got hematite in this bracelet, which is 6 millimeter beads. I find that if you're going to use two different style of beads, you need two different sizes. It looks funny when you have the same size beads, because I tried alternating these and it just didn't look right because they were the same size. So today, in the bracelet we're going to make, I'm using the lava rock. So I'm making another perfume bracelet, aromatherapy bracelet, but I've also using beads that I have on hand, and I've got this is moss agate, and these are 12 millimeter faceted beads, and I'm alternating them as well. And so you can choose whichever beads you think looks great together, and we're gonna make the links to match. Let's see what else. I mentioned the 20 gauge wire. Oh, the glue. The glue. This is, I'm using E6000. I'm sure that a lot of you have made stretchy bracelets before, so I don't expect you to necessarily follow what I'm doing, but this is what I'm using for glue. There's other different glues that you can use. What I'm going to encourage you with, because I want this to be a learning experience, write in the comments what glue you find works really good for your stretchy bracelets. And some of you might use E6000 because it is highly used in jewelry making. I've heard some people use super glue, so please write what you use, even if you see somebody else has written it, because I think we can learn from it. If something is being repetitive, that means, oh, this must be good because a lot of people are using it. So please comment and let me know how you do it. Do it in a positive fashion, because I really discourage negative comments, because I just think that's bad form. And so anyways, enough chatter for now. Let's get to work. We're going to start with making the link, and we're going to need 2 feet of 20 gauge dead soft wire. So I forgot to measure this ahead of time, so I'm going to quickly do this. And by the way, I spent money on a new device for holding my phone, and this is the first time I'm using it, and hopefully I have better luck with how this video turns out. So I've got 2 feet, and I'm going to straighten it. I'm going to use my plier on one end and just use my hand to bend the wire, and I'm pulling it along, and there, and now it's straight, and I don't have to worry about I mean, you could use nylon pliers. I just find it wrecks them, burns them. It work hardens the wire faster than your own hand, I think. So I want you to just pre-cut 2 feet of 20 gauge wire, pre-cut 1 foot of your stretchy cord, whichever you're using, whether it's this crystal string by Panda Elite from Beebeecraft, and then you're going to find the center portion of your wire, and I want you to bend it in 2 places and have it a 1/2 inch long or 1.5 centimeters long. And that's just an approximate. If you want it bigger, you can make it longer, but I find that 1/2 inch is a great size. And I'm just measuring it here like this, and I'm putting 2 bends with my fingernails, and then I'm going to make sharper bends with my pliers at those points. Okay, and now we're going to use those bends to make 2 loops for the to put the stretchy cord through. So you need your round nose pliers, and I'm just going to show you the back of this. Can you see I've got it a fairly small loop? So you want to have a fairly small loop when you make it. So basically the same size you would make for an earring loop, fairly small. So we're gonna make your loop, and we want an eye loop, which means it's centered on top like that. And then you're going to wrap around to approximately halfway. It doesn't have to be exact. And this is going to give the base, the center of your, whoops, sorry, my new phone holder has some bounce to it. So if I bump it, it's gonna make my phone bounce. That's one drawback, but I don't have to fight with a tripod. I can see on my phone quite readily that I'm in frame. And this is going to give it strength. So I think it's about the middle. I don't have it too neat. If I want to fix that, make it neater, I'm going to use my pliers to just cinch it in, straighten it out. Okay. And now I'm going to make a loop on the other end. Don't worry about what direction you're going at. We can change the direction of the loops afterwards. No worries. Get that cord wire out of my way. So I'm just doing it. I'm wrapping until I meet up with the other wire. And I'm making a mess, but that's okay. You could try and make it as neat as possible but it's not crucial. Okay, so now we want the two loops to face the same way. So I've got this one, and this one's twisted a little bit, so I'm just gonna fix it. And you want the wire to be together. Okay, and to the side. And before you start making your wrapping, we're gonna bend these two loops like this, and the other one facing the same, going up the same way. That will be the bottom of your link. And see how it bent this? Let's just straighten it out because we want it to be fairly flat. And it will do that too. That's just nature doing its thing. Okay, so now you've got the top, and the first thing I'm going to do is one swirl, and that's just going to lock, and we're finger swirling here. I don't know if I mentioned that. So that's just going to lock the wire into place, and I am going to extend that swirl so it goes over the end of the loop because I want it to be over. And remember, you can finger swirl as I want each one to be different, so you can follow exactly what I'm doing, but eventually you're going to get courageous and just go with the flow and do it how you see fit. So you need to decide what color of bicone matches your beads. I am going to use, in this kit, it's got hematite colored. I mean, it's not real hematite. It's just black and silver. Can you see that? I don't know if it shows up in the video, but it looks just like hematite. And it's going to go good with the lava rock. There wasn't a green in the package that matches moss agate well enough for my liking, so I'm going with the black. And make sure. So afterwards, if you find your links have moved, don't worry about it. We can fix them better. We just want them basically the same way. And okay, so I've got that double swirl. Now I'm going to add on a bead. Okay, I'm going to do it on this wire right here, if you are following exact. Even when you try to do exact, it turns out different. No matter what, everyone's going to be different. It can be similar, but it's going to be different. And I'm going to, this time, I'm going to wrap around it, make that frame like I traditionally do. And now join the two wires together again. So it gives that airspace there. And I'm going to then throw in another swirl. And it's going to cover that initial swirl. And that's okay. Okay. And now I've got it like this. And I'm going to go underneath and wrap around the base. And that's going to give it sturdiness. And I'm going to do a little swirl on top now. I brought it back up. And I'm going to add another bead here. Hope I don't get too carried away. Sometimes I can get too carried away. Here we go. And this time, I'm using both wires to make the frame for it, and just wrap it around once. Like that. And now I'm going to quickly add another bead right there. And see, I didn't make a frame. You play it by ear and do as you wish. And see how it had no wire wrapping between the two ends. Now I'm going to fill it up by making some swirls on top. And I'm almost out of wire. So if you wanted to go, if you were worried about running out of wire, I'm going to have enough. But if you were worried about that, you could just give yourself a little bit more length, because I'm almost out. So that's going to be the look on top. I'm going to support this swirl, and I'm going to bring it down, and I'm going to wrap around the inner part right here. I barely have enough to do it. I'm going to pull that one wire in. It's going to give a bit of a spread between the other wires, so be more decorative. And I'm just going to tuck it in right there. I just tucked it in, so no sharp edges, but it locks it in place. And another thing, I'm going to snip off the other one. Tuck it in as well. Now you're going to double check that the loops are sitting right, and this is holding it straight, so it's off at an angle, and you know that's okay. But if you don't feel comfortable with it, you can push one end in and then push the other one up and center it more. It's like pretty adjustable. And now I'm holding it straight again, and there it is. It's done. Okay, so that's pretty. And now at this point, you would do your finishing, whether you wanted it oxidized and lacquered, whether you want to leave it raw. On a wrist, it oxidizes on its own pretty quick. But you might not want to sell it that way. You might want everything pre-done, where you oxidize and buff and lacquer it, or don't lacquer it at all. That's your choice of how you finish it. Okay, so I've got that done. And now I'm going to take my foot of stretchy cord, and the first thing I'm going to do, now everybody makes bracelets differently, But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm putting this link on and working from the ends. I mean, you know, equally from both ends. And the link itself will hold your beads in place. And the extra length helps as well, so you're not fighting with it. And see, the elastic bumps up a little bit, and that's okay. It's not going to hurt anything. So here we go. And the first beads I'm putting on is 2 of my 8mm lava rock beads. Another thing that's really nice about the stretchy cord is you don't need a needle for it. It has enough substance that you can hold it and just slide the bead on. Okay, now I'm putting my 14mm moss agate bead. So I have a total of 8 14mm beads, and I didn't count the lava rock. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've got 10 lava rock beads. Oops, need the lava rock now. So I'm just alternating the 2 sizes. Okay, so I'm going to pause this and finish putting the beads on until the center part of the back. Okay, so I'm back and I've got the basic beads on the bracelet. Now I have sized the approximate size of this ahead of time. I'll show you how you can do that. I just wanted to do that. Oh, I'm short 1 bead. I thought I had another bead. I'm going to get it out. I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back. That's kind of embarrassing, but yeah, it happens. Anyways, so I have an equal amount on each side of the link bar, and I'm going to want another one. I'm making this bracelet a little bit differently than the other ones. What I did with this is, well, because they're all the same, it's no variation. I just had an equal amount with this one and just continued the pattern. This one, I'm going to do it differently. And that's just basically because of the larger bead in the pattern. I'm actually going to have 3 smaller beads, the 8mm lava rock, with the bead caps around the center one. So it's going to make the opposite end of the bracelet. Okay, that one's, this hole's not large enough. If I had a bead rasp, you know, where it makes the bead holes bigger, I could get that bigger, but I'm just not doing that for this video. So I'm going to put 1 bead cap on each end. That was the same one, silly me. And like that. And then the bead, 1 bead on one side. So now this is where the tied end goes. And see, I have, it was 12 inches. And I'm going to tie that. And you would measure your bracelet, the size from this point. And I'm going to show you what I do is I've got a handy little tool that I make, and you can make one too. So what you need is your 11 by 2 inch piece of cardstock. So it's using the long length of your cardstock, and you cut it, and then you put a measurement on it. I used to just make a pencil mark, and I'm going, you know, that's silly because I'm wasting cardstock. This one I can use over and over and over and over again. So now I'm just gonna wrap it around in a ring, and I'm having the number 1 on top. And you want to have it, because you know it's going to be bigger than 5 inches. And I'm going to see how big this is, approximately, if it cooperates. And you just put the bracelet over the center of it. This bracelet might be too big and I might have to downsize. Okay, and then once it's on there, then you push it open. See, so this is fitting a 7 1/4 inch wrist. And you want it about with a stretchy bracelet, about 1/4 of an inch bigger than your wrist. So this would be a little bit big on me, but it's harder to do a fitting with this type of large bead, because you have to have your pattern. And see, yeah, it's too big on me. But some people have larger wrists. So I'm gonna try taking off. I'm gonna try taking off the 2 outer lava beads and see how it looks. I just thought it would look funny, but maybe we want this to be a little bit smaller. Okay, so yeah. And it might be too small. So that's the downside of working with large beads, because it's harder to get the sizing the way you want it. Smaller beads is easier. Okay, now I'm going to tie this up. I've just taken out 2 beads. You always need to take out 2 beads so that it's centered. And let's see where it measures now. I thought I had it pre-measured. I'm not sure what I did there. Okay. Oops. Okay, so now it shows it's approximately 6 1/2 inch, fit a 6 1/2 inch wrist. Okay, 6 1/4, 6 1/2. And you know, it's so easy to undo these if you wanted to resize it and add more beads for somebody that does have a larger wrist, or take out beads for, it's really not really a lot of work. So you just keep, if you're at a flea market or a farmer's market selling your wares, just have extra beads for your bracelet and extra of everything, and you can adjust the bracelet to fit. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't, depending on what size of beads you have. So that's just an option. Okay, so the next thing, I'm going to do it this size, and I can always make it bigger if I have to for somebody. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just leave it at that point where it's 1 knot, 1 overhand knot. And now what I have here is I have a cut-off toothpick, and I'm just using a tea light to stick the end in to hold it, because I'm going to now get some glue on the end of this toothpick. Now I've got my E6000. Squeeze out a little bit of the E6000. And grab, see that dollop? And I'm just going to stick it back in the tea light so that it doesn't go anywhere. Close up my glue. Now, this is what the bead cap is doing for us. We're tightening up the stretchy cord, holding it with your fingers as best you can. Now I'm taking this E6000 and I'm going to stick it in where the knot is. It's also going to be on the bead cap, and that's okay. The bead cap is actually helping the knot stay in place. And now you're going to do the second part of your knot. Tie another overhand knot. And the glue is going to be in the middle and around, encasing that, and tighten it. And now you're going to want to hold it for a minute or two. I'm going to pause while I hold it. Okay, so I've held it for a minute. And now I'm actually going to push the bead cap in a little bit. If the glue still has some tack to it, it could adhere the bead cap in place. If not, it'll have movement. And then the next thing you're going to do is try and snip off the elastic a little bit past the end of the bead cap. We don't want it too short because then the knot could untie easier. You want it to have a little bit of length. Now some people try and put their elastic in the bead twice, where you stick the end in. This elastic is too thick to do that. It won't fit in the holes of these beads, so that's why I came up with using the bead cap as your little way of hiding the knot end and still look really elegant and classy. Snip that off. Okay, so see how that looks nice? And it doesn't look out of place. It just looks like it's meant to be there. And I don't know if I want to stretch this quite yet, but there it is. And if you want to bend this because it's protruding a little bit there, you can. Sometimes you don't need to. My other ones didn't stick out as much. I'm going to crimp it in just because it's sitting a little bit funny. And you can play with yours. And that's just going to flatten it out. Now it's going to sit better. Now, E6000, they say for it to fully cure takes 24 hours. So you really don't want to pull on it too much at first. But I find after a couple of minutes, it seems to be pretty strong. And there it is. That's done. It's pretty. It's simple. It's easy. It adds a statement to your stretchy bracelets for sure. And each one is unique. So they're one of a kind. Okay, thank you for joining me with this video, and thank you Beebeecraft for the product, and I will make sure you check out the links in the description. Okay, take care of yourself and see you in the next one.